afternoon, everyone. My name is Jackie, as Emily just said, and I'm the Relationship Manager at the College for Queensland. And I'm hoping to be up there to visit you guys later on in the year for Women in Law. So I'm very much looking forward to that. We will be being joined shortly by my colleague Jennifer Sturgis. She's a lecturer in the College of Law. She's just finishing up some assessment, and then she's going to jump on and join us, but I'll go through a bit of stuff soon. So I can't hear you, but I can see you. Hands up who's in your final year at JCU. Oh, excellent. Okay. Penultimate, second last year? Second year? First year? Halfway? Some combination of that? Excellent. Well, it sounds like a lot of you are on the downhill run to graduation. So that's really, really exciting. And this, of course, practical legal training is the next step in the journey towards admission. So really excited to be here this afternoon to chat to you further about what that is involved. So I'm going to share my screen, and I've just got a few slides to show you that has a nice summary of what we're going to be talking about today. So if you've got any questions as you go, feel free to nominate a speaker to come up to the computer, or just make a note of them for the end, whatever suits you. So so let's get into it. So this is our lovely friend Jaya, who's is a recent graduate, or fairly recent graduate of the College of Law. She's a resources lawyer, which is super interesting. And recently we've actually done lots of research and chatted to some of our grads just to find out about what their experience with PLT was, why they chose the College of Law, what they particularly liked about it, and things that we can improve on, of course. So let's get into it and talk about what they had to say. So a lot of our grads were talking to us about the flexibility of the College of Law, and that was a big reason why they decided to do our program, and what they really appreciated as well. Most of our students are working full-time. A lot of them will be or part-time, so they might be working full-time and studying with us part-time, working part-time, or have other responsibilities and be doing our course full-time. And what they liked was that the College of Law, the flexibility around what needs to be done, fitting it in and around their lives and their schedules, but also when unexpected stuff comes up, being able to sort of, I guess the word is pivot, move things around and adjust deadlines for assessment and those sorts of things, to be able to fit in all those unforeseen things as well. So that's really important. So I guess how to explain PLT is you've built the boat. And I do like this new saying that we've built the boat, now learn to sail. So university has taught you the theoretical base on which your legal career will be built on. So of course you can't be a lawyer without a law degree, but you also can't be a lawyer with just a law degree. So that's the theoretical foundation. But now we're going to add the practical tools, the practical experience, I guess, to be able to work as an entry-level lawyer with confidence and competence. So we want you to go out into law land and be able to be able to work in that space and kind of know what you're doing. So we're practicing in a safe, secure, supportive environment where you can make mistakes and no one's going to jail or losing their families or their businesses or their houses. There's no dire consequences. We can make mistakes, we can learn from those mistakes. And then when we're out in practice, we will know what we're doing. Of course, we're still going to make mistakes and we're still going to be learning, but you'll have those basic theoretical skills. Okay, so very much grads talk to us about how they appreciate the flexibility, the support throughout the program that comes from various places, and also that they did have that confidence to step out into practice. So as I just mentioned before, you obviously need that law degree as your first, as the first sort of thing marked off your to-do list towards becoming a lawyer. But that's not all you need. You do need to add practical legal training, which is a qualification. So it's a graduate diploma of legal practice. So you have that along with your degree, and you'll take your completion certificate and your graduate diploma of legal practice through to the admissions board, prove you're a fit and proper person, and go through the, I guess, jump through the hoops that are required of you. And we did have someone in yesterday at college talking about the rigmarole of it all. But, it's to make sure that, standards are being met. And then you do an admission ceremony where someone will move your admission, an admitted practitioner themselves, and then you will apply for your practicing certificate from the Queensland Law Society, if Queensland's the state you want to practice in, and that's when you can call yourself a solicitor. So we actually were having a conversation. Apparently there's been a little bit of a few situations lately where a few people have actually started practicing. They've gone through the admission, but they actually haven't taken that next step to get their admission, their practicing certificate, and just started practicing law. So that's a huge no-no. You can actually get yourself into some quite hot water. So don't do that. And of course, once you're admitted practitioner, you can do other legal roles, work in non-legal roles as well. And then, of course, if you hear the call to the bar, you can, at whatever stage in your career, whether it's straight away or after a few years' experience as a solicitor, do the exam to get into the bar course and then do the bar course itself. So in Queensland, solicitors and barristers, different branches are separate. They're not in some states, but they are in Queensland. So that's a conversation for another day. If anyone is interested in that topic. But what we're here today to just talk about what it takes to become a lawyer. So I like the flexibility of the College of Law, and I like that you can kind of tailor it to a certain extent to fit around what's going on with you. So there are a few decisions to be made, which is good. It means that each one of you will make different decisions and sort of, fit it in and around your different circumstances. So the first thing to decide, well, I guess the first thing to really decide is full-time or part-time. So much like university, you can complete things in a full-time or a part-time mode. So week one, and I'll explain our face-to-face work. So week one is face-to-face workshops. That's done full-time for both full-time students and part-time students. It's 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, either online or in person, but we'll talk about that in a minute. And then you do the rest of the program, and that's online, but not in any sorts of lectures, face-to-face workshops, that you sort of do the work in and around what you're doing in life. So our full-time course is that week one, face-to-face workshop week, and followed by another 14 weeks working through all the subjects and all the assessments. There's 15 weeks in total. And then part-time, again, that week one is full-time, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, face-to-face workshops. And then the rest of the program, the rest of the 29 weeks for a total of 30, is doing the same assessment, the same subjects, just doing it at a half pace. So that's what we recommend if you're working full-time or have a lot on your plate. And then the next thing will be to choose whether you do it 100% online or in a blended learning situation. So once upon a time, Jen and I, and welcome Jen, hello. Once upon a time in the olden days, which was 2019 before COVID, Jen and I would have been saying to you, okay, week one is face-to-face workshops and it's in person. And we come to Townsville twice a year. It's at the end of June and the end of November. And that's when, and we also teach in Cairns, Rockhampton, Toowoomba, Gold Coast, Sunshine Coast. So twice a year we go out to the regions and do the face-to-face workshops. Between that, you would have to come to Brisbane because the rest of them are run at the College of Law Queensland, which is on Ann Street in the Brisbane CBD. Then, of course, COVID happened and we scrambled to change it all over. It actually wasn't too hard for the college because we are predominantly online anyway. So what we did was make that week one, move it online. So it's kind of different online. So week 1 is in a Zoom situation. So it'll be kind of like this, all the little boxes on the screen, except you'd all be on individual computers. And Jen will be sitting here. You all have to have your cameras on because Jen has to put her hand on her heart and promise the admitting body that you are there for every workshop. And if cameras are off, we can't guarantee that. Now, have been some people who have had to come back because they didn't want to turn their cameras on for various slightly odd reasons, but that's the situation. And so we go through a week of workshops. So they're interactive. We do group activities, and Jen will divide the class up, and then people will go off into pre-assigned breakout rooms, do work in smaller groups, come back, discuss what you've learnt. And you know, it's all very interactive. It's not a one-way conversation like this. It's very interactive with, you know, sort of people asking questions and answering questions and doing activities. So that's the 100% online. So the great thing about, I mean, you've got to look at silver linings of COVID as much as it's been quite hard and horrible. One thing that has been a benefit is that people out that are not within easy sort of commute to Brisbane have all of a sudden had access to more courses. So instead of just those 2, you guys can do whatever you want. So we've got one starting next week. It's technically too late to enroll, but just say it was Monday and you guys were like, oh, I might do that course next week. Then you could have enrolled in it and been online with people from all over Queensland. So that's been really good. We are looking to come back face-to-face in Townsville from this June, which is very exciting. It's been, 2.5 years, end of 2019 would have been the last time we were there, obviously, because of the pandemic. Now, but we do need minimum numbers. So if you guys are, and Jen, most people in the room popped their hands up to say they were in their final year. If you are thinking about doing it face-to-face, because that's what suits your learning style, make sure that you round up all your mates and ensure that there's 10 people. So if that course doesn't go ahead in person, it will still go ahead online. So we've sort of scheduled an online group the same week. So if, say, there's only 3 people in Townsville registered, they would transition into the online course is how that would work. So because the workshops, they don't work, it's not a good learning experience if there's less than 10. So, and we would send someone like Jen up to teach. That's quite often on one of the JCU campuses, which is quite cool. You guys will know where all the facilities are, where all the good coffee and that sort of stuff is. Jen, they're having a cheese board if you can't see it. I said that we were both big fans of cheese.
Love cheese.
Yes. If only we could just be cutting off a little cheese and cracker and passing it through the screen. I said you were a big fan of the blue cheese. Yeah, so that's your decision. So 100% online or blended learning, and it might have to do with when the start dates are. And then you get to choose how you want to do the work experience. So there's a 75-day option, there's a 25-day option, there's a 0-day option. I'll go into that in more detail shortly. But if anyone's working at a law firm or in law, it doesn't have to be at a firm, of course, government or in-house or, working for a barrister or working for a tribunal member, there's lots of, or a judge, there's lots of different experiences that you can have that would count. And I'll tell you how actually what you're doing now may already be ticking things off. If you want some help, we don't have a placement service, but we certainly have people around on the team to assist. So we have a team of 2 careers advisors, Susan and Ruth, who are amazing. Susan's based in Melbourne, Ruth is based in Sydney, and they support students all over Australia and New Zealand, and they will help you with getting your CV ready, your interview skills ready. But you can, of course, do that at JCU through the careers department. So, don't wait till you're at college to get the ball rolling there. And we also have a jobs board. So we get calls, every week saying, hey, do you know any students for, for a whatever role? And we can't just tap people on the shoulder and go, oh yeah, he's 5. It has to be available to everyone. That's the most equitable thing, and it's all very transparent. And so you can jump on our jobs board and apply for whatever jobs that you want. So across Australia, we had about 1,000 nationally last year. So anyway, those are some choices that you can mix. Now, I did mention that that first week is Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. We have one more option that used to be a Brisbane in-person option only, but we've moved this online and it's working so well that we've had to, instead of having 2 intakes of our evening option with like maybe 12 people in it, we've got 4, and they've all got 60 people in it. So you can see that that's really a really popular option. And of course, again, this now opens up the whole state. So it doesn't matter where you are. So if, say, you've just started a new job, or you're too busy, or for whatever reason, it doesn't really matter, you can't take that dedicated Monday to Friday 9 to 5 time to be with us online or in person, what you can do is you can do the after hours option. So the after hours option is when we take week 1 and we snip it up into 12 different workshops, and we run that over 6 weeks, usually Tuesday and Thursday nights from 6 o'clock, and now that's online. So it's quite cool. You know, you can come home, you know, grab a bite to eat or whatever, and then, or stay at work maybe, and just as long as you're in a quiet space to do that, that's been a really popular option. That's something quite unique to the College of Law as well. So those are all the different options that you've got, or decisions you have to make nationally across Australia. So you guys, you know, used to only have access to, unless you were coming to Brisbane, but from home, 2 courses a year. You've now got access to 150 courses a year, with about 30 or so being in Queensland. I say also because we have to keep adding classes courses at the moment, so the numbers are very fluid. And if we, you know, if we get enough people, and you know, likewise, we can do bespoke options as well. So say if 10 of you came to us and said, College of Law, it would be really cool if we could have a September intake. We've got 12 people or 10 people. As long as you had, you know, 10 people minimum ready to go, we could organise that for you. So that's quite a cool option as well. Okay, so basically, practical legal training is adding those practical skills onto the theoretical law degree that some of you have nearly completed. So that's exciting. And I guess from our graduates, they tell us that they like the flexibility, a program that fits around competing life commitments, whether that's work or family or whatever it is else that you do. Adding those real world practical skills and practicing those tasks in a very sort of, it's designed to sort of, you know, be mock work. So it's actually practicing matters and tasks that you would do at a graduate entry level, and sort of, you know, doing documents and work and handing them into your boss, which is technically your lecturer. So it's not learning the theoretical side of the law anymore. It's also about supporting you to be career ready as soon as you're stepping out into the profession. And also, I guess, College of Law is a really trusted name in the profession. We are for the profession because of the profession, and supporting the profession. That's all we do, is train lawyers. And we have nearly 50 years of experience of doing this. And there's about 30 or so law firms across Australia that embed us into their graduate program. So I guess what we're trying to say is we have done this before. We're quite good at it. And across Australia, over 77% or around 77% of law graduates choose the College of Law. And yes, 1974 this started. I was but a young pup. So if you do want to do it face-to-face, so obviously online, you can do it from the comfort of your own home, with your slippers on and your dog under the desk. That's how Jen and I like to do things, with our slippers on and our dogs under the desk. Jen's got a little girl Piper as well. Oslo just made an introduction before Jen. He was like tapping me. I had to shut the door and knock him out. But if you want to do it face-to-face, there's 19 locations around Australia, including Cairns, Gold Coast, Rockhampton, Sunshine Coast, Toowoomba and Townsville in Queensland. So lots of different locations. Start dates, there's too many to fit on one slide, but jump online at collaw.edu.au, and they're listed in sort of the list of full-time and then the list of part-time, and the evening course, the after-hours courses will all be in part-time. Dates are up there through till October, I believe, and we are just working on getting the November, sort of the November till next October 2023 will be up shortly. We got a request from marketing yesterday to say, have you got those dates confirmed? We're looking to get them up on the website very soon. Okay, so let's talk about the nitty-gritty of practical legal training. So I like to divide PLT into 3 different pillars. So let's just imagine it's day 1 and you guys are sitting there in week 1. And what you would do is you, in your mind's eye, just change where it says 3 course pillars to your name. And then underneath is a circle with coursework, a circle with work experience, and a circle with continuing professional development. You must tick off 1 and circle 1, circle 2, and circle 3 by your course end date or shortly thereafter. You actually do have a time afterwards as well. It's up to 2 years after you've actually finished your coursework to do all the other stuff. But of course, you don't get your completion certificate and your graduate diploma of legal practice that you need for admission till you've got 3 ticks. So coursework is 5 compulsory subjects. So week 1, which is our lawyer's skills, is counted as one of the subjects. And then you'll do 4 additional compulsory subjects, and then you'll do 2 electives. And you must attend every single workshop of week 1, and then the rest of it is sort of work in and around. So sometimes, you know, people are like, oh, well, on Tuesday afternoon, I have to go to the graduation. So, you know, is that okay? Well, no, it's not. The admitting body want you to be there the whole day. So if you do happen to miss any, then what we do is we just include you in the next group. So we've got a group starting next week, and I know there are a couple of people doing a couple like makeup days, and then so they might have done 4 days when it was their group, but they just need to come, you know, doctor's appointments, they get sick, kids get sick, whatever, and they just come back and make up those that time. So so that's coursework, and you'll work through that over 15 or 30 weeks. Then you'll do work experience. So that's out, you know, doing real lawyering work, which is kind of exciting. We've got 3 options, and I'll tell you more about that shortly. And then also a CPE, so continuing professional education. So lawyers like Jen, when you've got a practicing certificate, you need to do certain amounts of CPE every year, 10 points worth, and you have to log that with Queensland Law Society in order to renew your practicing certificate for the next 12 months, and that's something that you do annually. So we practice that in PLT. And we basically say, here's 10 modules, do them. So I'll tell you a bit about that shortly. But I quite like this diagram. It's a diagram for PLT, and it's a diagram for life, really. It's all about learning. So learning our practical skills, applying our theory that we've learned at university, and then adding in our practical skills, learning about how it all works together and how to put it into practice, practicing those practical skills in a safe, secure, supportive environment. We're allowed to make mistakes. No one's going to jail. There's no dire consequences. And you have mentors like Jen who will give you feedback in various different ways so that you can review your work, put that feedback into your work, make it better. You'll learn from that experience. And then when you put it back into practice, you'll be a better soon-to-be lawyer. So, and around we go. So we're learning these skills through our lawyer skills workshops, our interactive online tasks, and our practice area electives as well. Jen, did you want to just jump in here and maybe show everyone? I'll stop sharing.
Okay.
And maybe we'll.
Thank you.
We'll have a look at your screen, and Jen's got the system up live for us.
Yes.
I don't have access to the system, so I always enjoy seeing it. I learn something new every time myself.
So everybody, what I'm going to do, thanks for attending this afternoon. What I'm going to do, I won't take up too much of your time, but I thought to make it, because there's probably a lot of you who probably don't know very much about the College of Law or what the coursework entails. Jackie's obviously explained it to some extent, but it's probably a good idea just to, what I thought I'd do is just sort of take you into one of the subjects and you can have a look at how everything works. So for those of you who are a bit concerned and, you know, wondering how it's sort of, if it's different from uni or how it works, I thought I'd just take a few minutes to show you. So I'm just going to share my screen now if I can. Can everyone see that ethics and professional responsibility? Yes? No? Can you see that, Jackie?
Yeah, we can see it here.
Oh, good. Okay, terrific. Okay. Now, all of the subjects, as Jackie's explained, there are a number of subjects you've got to do to complete the course, and they're all done in a particular order. First one is ethics and professional responsibility, which I'm just going to let you have a quick look at here. That's followed by civil litigation, property practice, and commercial and corporate practice. They're the five core subjects that you have to do, together with lawyer skills, which you do in that first week, where you attend face-to-face, either in person or via Zoom. Once you've done that week, you will then do these five compulsory subjects, and then at the end you do the 2 electives, so depending upon what you've chosen. Each of the subjects follows a fairly similar pattern. Obviously the content's different, but what you have to do is within each subject, you have to do a number of tasks, and then those tasks that you have to do are split up once again into activities. And if you have a look here, this is sort of the first page of the ethics and professional responsibility subject. Here it's just basically explains to you what you're going to learn in the subject and what the subject is all about. So that's a little bit of information for you there. And you'll see down here are the tasks. They're all set out, I think, in a very easy to understand way. And if I just open task 1 up, you'll see that there are 2 activities within task 1. And first one is meeting public and professional concerns in practice. And the second activity is keeping promises made in professional practice. That relates to solicitors' undertakings. You will have to complete each of these tasks in accordance with a timetable. The timetable is online, and if you like, I can show it to you at the end. That timetable is set in stone. So when you enroll in the course, you will know exactly when each activity in each subject is due. You'll know when your assessments are due for the entire 15 or 30 weeks of the course. Now, having said that, when I say it's set in stone, I'm sure Jackie will agree that one of the really good things about the College of Law, I think, I'm not trying to bag anybody else, but unlike some of the other PLT providers, we are pretty flexible. So whilst it is set in stone, if something were to happen, like you were to be, called away due to work, or you're ill, or you've got a sickness in your family or something like that, or you haven't been able to complete everything in order to sit the assessment, we are flexible. So if you can't do your assessment on the day that's scheduled for the assessment, we have catch-up days, you can do it at a later date. However, when you enroll in the course, you will know, as I said, what you're going to have to do for the next 15 or 30 weeks. So the first activity that you will do after you've been with us that first week will be an ethics and professional responsibility, and it'll be activity 1.1. To complete that activity, you open up the instructions, and it sets out everything that you need to do. It talks about an ethical decision-making model, which you'll be introduced to, and it explains exactly what you've got to do. In this case, you're presented with a problem, and you have to apply a model, come up with an answer, and record your answer in a video and submit it. The problem is contained in an email from your supervisor. So as Jackie said, we try and replicate the real world. So in this particular activity, you've got an email from your supervisor and you're being asked to deal with an ethical, I think that's not, I don't know if you can you see that, everybody, or not? Can you?
Just loading on our end by the looks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's loading for me too.
Yes.
It's a white screen at the moment.
Oh, okay. I don't know if you can see that or not. But there's, so in other words, you'll get an instruction from a supervisor, you'll get a statement from a client. Can you see it now, everybody, or not?
No.
No, that's
Just
all
a
right.
white screen here as well.
Okay, no, I'll get rid of that. Hang on, I'll just.
It's got the Friday afternoon fatigue.
Yes, sorry. I'll just try and get back into that. I don't know what's gone wrong there. I'll just get back into it. I won't worry about that. For some reason, it's not working. But anyway, so each activity follows a sort of fairly set pattern. You'll get your instructions, you'll get about what you need to do and what you need to submit, and then you'll get the materials you need in order to complete the task. So as I said, it might be an email from a supervisor, it might be some documents, it might be a file note or something like that, and then you'll have to action it. You'll complete the activity and then you will upload it to our learning portal, and then what you have done will be looked at by your lecturer. At the College of Law, we don't just give generic feedback. Everybody who submits something will get personalised feedback. So if you submit something to me, I'm actually going to read it. And I'm actually going to give you feedback on it. If you've done a good job, I will tell you that. I might give you some, perhaps put a little bit of feedback there. I'll send the document back to you. If perhaps you've missed something or it's not quite satisfactory, because everything has to be done to a satisfactory standard, we won't just send it back to you and say, that's no good, do it again. We will give you guidance and ask you to resubmit it. In order to complete the activities, I don't think you should have too much difficulty, because unlike uni, where you've got to go and do a lot of research and look at other things, everything you really need to complete these tasks is on our learning portal. You'll see there up the top, your instructions are there. You've also got what's called a tab here which talks about resources. If you have a look there, there are all sorts of links, and this is the case with every activity, links to all sorts of things that you will need in order to complete the activity. So you're not expected to get a task, then go off and research it and try and find out the answer. For example, any legislation, and this is ethics and professional responsibility, so we'll be looking at, for example, Australian Solicitors Conduct Rules, the Legal Profession Act. So there'll be links to the legislation, so you can, if you want to look at the rules, you can just click on that link. There are also, sorry, did someone say something?
No, I think there's just some feedback.
Oh, there are also some what we call practice papers for pretty much everything that you'll have to do at the College of Law. There will be a practice paper to help you. The practice papers are really the textbooks of the College of Law, and the information in them is very extensive, and I think most students find it very useful, and a lot of the answers you'll need to complete the tasks will be found there. Now, you can open them up online. So, for example, if you're going away, as I said, everything you need is online. You can also ask for a hard copy of the practice papers. You'll be asked that once you start at the college. I always suggest to people that they ask for that, because after you've finished at the College of Law, you've still got that hard copy practice paper, which people use for years to come. So they are of great use. And then there's always additional resources that you've got here. Law Society, Proctor articles, all different sorts of things, any cases that may be of relevance. And it's not here, but in a lot of the resources also, there are case studies. So they will take you through step by step perhaps an activity that you've got to do. For example, when we do civil litigation, you've got to prepare a claim and statement of claim. I know we have a case study which takes you through the preparation of a statement of claim and what's got to go into it. So when it comes time for you to do your statement of claim, you've got a sort of really a template that you can use. So I think you will find that you won't have, I'm not suggesting, you know, the College of Law is a pushover, but if you apply yourself, I don't think you'll find too much difficulty in completing all the tasks. They're very clearly set out. As I said, they are given to you in such a way to sort of replicate what you'd be doing at work. You're given the resources to do them. All you've really got to do is read the resources and apply them to the task. Once you've done all of the tasks in the particular subject you're enrolled in, so once again, in ethics and professional responsibility, if we go back to the first page here, you'll see that there are actually 4 tasks. Within them are activities as well. Usually if you're part-time, you'll do 1 activity a week. If you're full-time, you'll do 2 because you're going at twice the speed. Once you've done all the tasks and they're completed satisfactorily, you can then sit your oral assessment. I'll just click on here. This gives you some information about the oral assessment. It just explains you've got to have done all the tasks and that sort of thing. It tells you how you're going to be assessed. Now, does everyone know that the assessments at the College of Law are oral? Does everyone know that?
We hadn't mentioned it yet, Jen.
No, they are all oral. So they're oral and they're worth 100% of your marks. You have to do the tasks in order to sit the oral assessment, but the tasks don't actually count towards your final grade. Now, some people get worried about that. They say, oh, gee, that's a lot of pressure. Can I allay your fears if I can? I thought that when the College of Law introduced it, but actually I think it's easier than the way we used to assess students. The reason I say that is because it's, once again, we're trying to mimic real life. What you will do is you will choose a time that you want to do your assessment on one of the days scheduled in the timetable. You will attend via WebEx on that day. At the other end of the screen will be an assessor. And what they will really do is, whilst everything in the subject is accessible, largely the assessment revolves around the tasks that you've done. So if you've done the tasks, you've understood why you've done certain things in the tasks, it's open book. You will have the tasks in front of you. You'll have the feedback that you've been given from your lecturer in front of you. And it's once again really a conversation, just similar to what you might have with your supervisor. So the supervisor might say, well, I sent you a memo about this. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And it's really what we're trying to do is just really test your knowledge about the tasks that you've already done. For example, just a brief example, once again in civil litigation, we give you a file and you've got to do a letter of advice to the client. You've also got to commence proceedings. So you've got to draw a claim and statement of claim. As part of drawing that claim and statement of claim, you've got to decide in what court you're going to bring the proceedings. So one of the questions you might get asked in the oral assessment is, what court would you institute the proceedings and why? And you'd have to say, well, why? Because, you know, the claim was 140,000, so it falls within the jurisdiction of the magistrate's court. So as long as you understand why you've done things, then you shouldn't have too much trouble with the oral assessment. As I repeat, everything is accessible, but they largely focus on the tasks. So, and it is, I think you'll find all our assessors fairly sort of patient and sort of easygoing. It is really a conversation. We're obviously assessing you and testing your knowledge, but as long as you've done the work and done the tasks, handed them in, I don't think you should have too much difficulty with the oral assessment at all. In those compulsory subjects, just one thing, before you sit the oral assessment, as well as having done the tasks, you have to sit a multiple choice test before you do the assessment. You have to get 50%. If you don't get 50%, you just have to keep redoing it online until you do. The reason for doing that is to obviously, so you can get a bit of an idea about how you're tracking as far as your knowledge is concerned. So if you're not getting 50%, you probably need to do a bit more work. So that's really to sort of, once again, to help you. If you fail, which some people do from time to time, but most people seem to cope fairly well with the oral assessment, you just have to book another time to redo the assessment. And hopefully you will have learned a bit from the assessment, perhaps studied a little bit harder, and you shouldn't have too much difficulty. So I guess, Jackie, I don't know if you want me to say much more, but sort of in closing, all of the material is there. I think it's you've got the tasks are, I think, very well laid out. They offer there's a clear explanation of what you've got to do. You have all the resources you need to complete them. You don't really need to go outside anywhere and do research or anything like that. You just need to look at the resources. You need to submit your activity. You will get feedback on that activity. You'll be told whether it's satisfactory or not. Don't feel down if you ask to resubmit it. Most people get asked to resubmit some things because we're all learning. You'll resubmit it if you have to resubmit it. It'll be marked as satisfactory. You will do your multiple choice test, and then you will do your assessment. One other good thing about the College of Law is all the subjects are done, apart from the 2 electives at the end, which are done together, subjects are done one by one. So you'll do ethics and professional responsibility, you'll sit the assessment, then you'll move on to civil litigation, property, commercial and corporate. So you're not trying to juggle a number of subjects at once. You can totally focus on the one subject before moving on to the next one.
Now that's a good summary, Jen. If you've got any questions, if a spokesperson wants to come closer to the microphone, or we can certainly wait till the end. That's not a problem as well.
I'll just stop my share.
I had a couple. Quickly turn you around. So I had a couple. My first one was, does the College of Law program allow students to be admitted Australia-wide or just in Queensland?
Australia-wide, yeah. All PLT providers will be probably say the same thing. It's got to do with the admitting bodies. So there's agreements between the states. And if you do change states, so say you're practicing in Queensland for a couple of years and then you decide to move to Melbourne, you apply for your your practicing certificate in Victoria. So one PLT, doesn't matter where you do it, you can practice in any state.
Okay. Any other questions, Andrew?
Could I just add to one of the benefits of the College of Law is that we do, because most of you probably will practice in Queensland, we do teach Queensland.
Yeah.
Not all the PLT providers do that. And I think that's important because although the differences are sometimes not great, there are some differences. So you will be being taught Queensland law. Sorry, Jackie.
And you have Queensland resources, so the practice papers are slightly different for each state as well. But you can do the Queensland course and get admitted into any state you want. Yeah, sorry, what was that other question?
Does completing the PLT with College of Law give you any credits to say masters or
yes,
anything of the sort? Yes,
it gives you 2 credits. So our master's program, and thank you. I'll be mentioning that later, so we can tick that off the list now. Our master's is very, very practical. There's 8 subjects. That's the full program. But if you've done practical training with the College of Law, we give you credit for the two electives, meaning it's 6 subjects. We have 4 intakes or semesters, whatever you want to call them, a year. So you can then do a master's in a year and a half, which is quite cool. Absolutely. And actually, there was a lot of people that were even quite recent graduates of PLT when COVID started. One of our good friends of the college. She's actually the president of the Sunshine Coast District Law Association. She's like, oh, I'm not very good at not doing anything. So in lockdown, I just did my master's. I'm like, okay, sure. That was a good use of time. Now she's got a master's. So, you know, that's quite cool. And she was only less than a year out of PLT, but other people do it sort of, you know, 2, 3, 5 years, 10 years out. So it's there for your time. Yes, question.
I'm not sure if you're going to mention this later, but I know some other PLT providers offer intake when you have 2 uni electives still going.
Yes. Yes. Good question. Yes, thanks for bringing that up. That is the same for every PLT provider, and it's not our rule, it's the admitting body rule. It's, well, the LAC, the Legal Admissions Consultative Committee. So the rule nationally is no matter what PLT provider you're with, if you have finished your pre-C11 and have no more than 2 electives left, you can apply to the admitting body to come into PLT at that time. So that, of course, for us is the Queensland Legal Admissions Board, and you just do an online form if you are at that stage, and then yes, you can start PLT in that final semester if you so choose.
And following on to that, I was wondering if those 2 electives equal out with your 2 electives when you're doing your honours.
As long as those 2 electives are not pre-C11, it's all good. Oh, so have you finished all your undergraduate and you're in your honours?
No, so at the end of this year, I'll finish my pre-C11 and undergraduate, and then I'll be moving possibly into my honours. Am I able to do that while I'm doing my PLT?
Yeah, that's fine. There's a few people, sorry, a bit of feedback there. I know a few people doing that. Actually, the president of the USQ Law Students Association is with us at the moment, and she's doing her honours. As long as you've done if you've done pre-C11 and undergraduate, that's fine. I'd probably recommend doing it part-time if you're doing the honours at the same time. But that's your decision, of course.
Awesome, thank you very much.
Yeah, good question. Thanks for bringing that up. We used to have a slide on it, but this new slide deck. Yeah, appreciate you asking that question. All right, so let's jump back into share screen, and we've had a lovely thorough discussion about coursework. So that's that tick box 1. So that 15 or 30 weeks. Oh, here's our fabulous, some of our lecturers or mentors. So all of our mentors have vast experience in the law. They're legal practitioners themselves. So some like Jen and like Anita and Graham, which are the first 2 smiling circles there to the left, they have worked for many years in various law firms and organisations, and then had the calling to come, didn't you, Jen? You had the calling to, she didn't get the call to the bar, she got the call to the College of Law, and their passion is mentoring and teaching and developing the next generation of legal practitioners full-time. Lots of those faces are still out in law land in various different roles. Some are academics at universities, some are lawyers, some are barristers, some are mediators, some are tribunal members. So they do all sorts of different roles. There's many years of experience just on that slide. And I think we've got nearly 277 lawyers across Australia that work with our students. So, you know, it's really cool when you're doing advocacy, for example, to maybe have a barrister teaching you that, or people who do mediation for a living teaching the mediation sessions. But all of them have a lot of bits on the ground and invaluable experience. So we've got a really cool team, I think. Okay, so that's tick box 1. Tick box 2 is work experience. So we have 3 options for you. So option 1 is the 75-day option, which is what we call the standard option. So if you're working in the law, so you might be working as a paralegal somewhere or a clerk somewhere, or a judge's associate, or whatever the role is, you can actually claim 60 of your 75 days in the 2 years prior to starting PLT. So as I mentioned, we've got a lovely group of about 40 people starting next Monday coming on the 9th. So if we go back to May 2020, when we were all in the first throes of lockdown, seems like a long time ago, but it really wasn't. May 2020 to May 2022, so basically till today, if they can find 60 days of legal work experience that meets the rules, they can claim that. So up to, it could be 10, it could be 20, it could be 60. Then the final 15 days has to be done during the time of PLT, or you actually do have 2 years after you finish your coursework as well. So it's four and a bit years to do that work experience. You'll then do a reflective journal just on the final 15 days. It's not the whole 75 days, just the final 15 days. And then you'll submit some forms. So there's a form sort of at the beginning and a form sort of at the end. So the form at the beginning is you sign, your supervisor signs to say, hey, college, this is where I'm working and this is what the role I'm doing and who's supervising me. And then at the end, you sign and your supervisor signs to say, I'm done. And the supervisor is signing to say, I, as a admitted practitioner myself, do sort of verify to the admitting body that you have met the rules and that they're happy to that you should be, admitted as a fellow member of the profession. And yeah, you do your reflective journal. So that's that. There's no additional program for that. There is a short version, which is 15 days. And it includes an additional 6-week online program. So it's an extra subject and there is an extra cost for that. It's about $1,500. Those 15 days have to be done at the same time as PLT or in the 2 years after. So some people do all their coursework and then worry about work experience. A lot of people do it at the same time. It's totally up to you. And then there's the 0 days. So again, in the olden days before COVID, Jen and I would be saying, these are the two options, 75 or 50. But when the lockdowns and everything started, we sat and cried as we watched the job board go ding, 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 ding. It was just heartbreaking. Heartbreaking for us, but it was even more heartbreaking for students. We had everyone ringing and, I knew students that had volunteer positions set up, but then that's not, an organisation's not going to transition volunteers to work from home. So it's all pretty much up, I think actually higher than it was before COVID from conversations around the profession. But we still offer this option. So it's 0 days with an additional 8-week program. Now, each group will have an online mentor, such as Jen, who looks after the group. But in the 0 day option, which is the in-practice component, it's an 8-week program matched with a different person who will be your one-on-one mentor. And they sort of put you through a body of work that simulates work. Now, this is not college's decision when it stops. It's actually the admitting body and the Chief Justice. We've just had a new one come on board. Was not quite sure what her thoughts are. At the moment, we've got authorisation to run it till the end of the year. So if you're coming into PLT this year, it's still an option for you. If you're coming next year or the year after, it's potentially not going to be there. And having said that, they have extended it a couple of times by 6 months and 6 months. But, we are really coming out of things now and things are opening up. So I would imagine that next year's, I could be totally wrong, but next year it might not be around. It's also the numbers are decreasing in that option. People really do want to go out there and, have the real experience in a law firm. So it was a great option during COVID when there wasn't another option and people wanted to keep moving towards admission. But, that's not so much the case. So, so those are the 3 options. So does anyone have any questions about work experience? We actually have a full presentation just on work experience that's pre-recorded that we give you access to when you start. But if you are working at the moment, you can start putting your forms in for those first 60 days right away, even if you're not starting PLT for a year. Just do it, put it on file at college, and then it doesn't matter if you lose the forms because college can keep them on the system for you.
Do we have any questions or all good? I think we're all good here.
Excellent. If anyone wants to chat offline with me, that's fine too. You can always zip me an email to catch up on the phone and talk through your particular situation, because sometimes work experience, you know, it's very varied. So that's tick box 2, work experience. You've got 3 options. Oh, the mentored program is about $2,000 extra. So what we do is we have a very user pay system. So I'll explain that shortly, actually. I'll just get back to the slides. CPE, the 3rd and final tick box. We literally just give you 10 modules, self-paced modules as part of the system. It's all included in the cost of your PLT. And we say, do these modules by your course completion date or shortly thereafter. So it's 10 modules called Legal Tech and Business Skills Series for the Changing Future of Law. And this was brought about really from the profession saying, hey, great legal skills coming out of, you know, universities and College of Law, but there needs to be that business acumen as well. Because while the law is a profession, it's also a business, and we do need to keep the lights on and, most importantly, pay our salaries. So there's a lot of skills there about that sort of stuff. And also, you know, businesses, any firm that you're working for, within a few short years, you'll be expected to bring in business. So you do have to have an understanding of how that works. And then legal technology, we have the Centre for Legal Innovation at the College of Law, which is fabulous. If you've got any interest in that, get onto our website and you can sign up to all sorts of free webinars and stuff happening. They've got a free conference coming up at the moment. Actually, if you look through my LinkedIn posts, you'll see it, or the College of Law posts, you'll see it on Facebook and LinkedIn, actually. And that's all about, you know, disruption in the law and technology in the law and how the law is changing with technology. If you've got any sort of interest, and, you know, hopefully, you know, you might take a peek at it. It's a really fascinating, fast, you know, really, you know, the snowball is rolled in building with that space in the law. So it's really interesting. So you do your 10 modules. We say they take about an hour each, and then you'll get an additional certificate of legal technology and business, which is skills to add to your resume. Now, you can choose to do these one a weekend for 10 weeks, or this is my new saying, and I'm really hoping it catches on through PLT presentations because I invented it the other day. You can Bridgerton the whole lot, which means that you can do what I did over Easter with my friend Nasoni, and you can start at number 1 and work your way through. We did 14 out of 16 episodes of Bridgerton in 2 days. And then, unfortunately, her kids came back and they had to go home. But yeah, you can just smash through them back to back in one weekend. So I'd really like everyone to take that saying and embrace it and put it into your lives, and let's put it into the vernacular. So that's how that works. Just basically do the 10 modules. Okay, so those are the three tick boxes, but along the way, through your journey of PLT, you're going to have lots of support. So, I mean, right from now, really, obviously you've got me to ask questions of, but we also have our student services team who are fabulous, and our student liaisons officers are there to you when you're in the course and you need to sort of do admin type things like reschedule assessment or change from part-time to full-time to part-time, or drop back a course because you got sick or something like that. So, you know, drop into the course coming behind you. They're the ones that will do all that for you, and they're there to talk to you a lot about, you know, general information about the course as well, the nuts and bolts of the program. You've also got Jen and all our lecturers or online mentors, and those are the lawyers who are basically your instructing, you know, your supervisors, so to speak, you know, if we're mimicking the world of work. And they're there. So if, say, you've got to hand in a task and something's come up at work and you're not going to get it in today, you just need the weekend, and you'll just message Jen and say, you know, through our system, send her an email saying, oh, hi, Jen, I've had to go to court, or whatever the situation is, I've not been well or whatever. Would it be all right if I had a slight extension? And she might just say, you know, how's closed business Monday or whatever. She's very kind like that, aren't you, Jen? So they will work with you to keep your learning on track. We also have, this is Susan Pincus. She's just the most delightful lady. She's one of our career coaches. She also has a colleague called Ruth, And between the two of them, they're there full time to provide all of our College of Law students with interview prep, resume reviews, building your personal brand. And they do a lot of free workshops that you guys can access now. So follow me or follow the College of Law on LinkedIn. I also send them through to Emily and the team, and they go out on the JCU Facebook page from time to time. So you're welcome to join those. And then of course we've got our jobs board and our network through the College of Law as well. Okay. All right, so a few more bits of information. So remember how I was saying it's sort of pay for what you need. Everyone pays for their course fee. And then if you are doing the 75-day option, that's it. All your practice papers / textbooks are included. There's no trotting down to the bookshop and dropping another couple of $100 there. They all are just there. You also have all your modules for your CPD included as well. So if you are doing the short format, which is the 15-day format with the 6-week program, that's an additional $1,500. If you are doing it's still available and you're doing the in practice component of 0 days with the 8-week program and the mentor, it's an additional $2,000. So that's all available to put on fee help for you if you are an Australian or permanent resident. So that's how. So it's very much kind of pay for what you need. So there's no one size fit all. It's again very flexible to what your requirements are. So basically what we're aiming to do is give you skills for real life. We will role play interviews, negotiations, courtroom appearances under the guidance of our mentors like Jen, and they will give you that valuable feedback and set you up for being able to walk into any graduate lawyer position and have that confidence to complete those common tasks that will be required of you. And then, at the end of each subject, you'll do a review session. So that is the non-threatening word for 100% face-to-face oral assessment. So it's a review session. So think about it as a chat. So a lot of people do, and probably quite rightly, get a bit nervous before their first one. But by the time they've done that first one, they're usually, oh, that wasn't too bad, and they're a bit more confident for the next one. So it's just having a chat. And as Jen says, it's about replicating what happens at work. Your boss doesn't walk in and say, hey, what's going on with that matter? How about next Friday you give me a 500-word essay on what the situation is? They don't. They come in and say, what's going on? Talk to me. So that's mimicking that. So
Sorry,
yes.
Also, can I just say, I think when you write at university, you're writing to someone who probably knows more about the law, and you're sort of trying to show off your knowledge of the law to them, quoting cases and things like that. What we're trying to do at the College of Law, because you're going to, once you start working, you're going to be writing to clients who obviously know nothing about the law, aren't interested in cases or anything like that. So what we're going to try and get you to do is to move from perhaps that way of writing and presenting things to, be more client focused, I guess. So
and be able to summarize it short and sharp rather than talk thousands and thousands of words. Okay, so here is what we've boiled it down to about how to select a PLT provider. And of course, number 6 is choose the College of Law. But does the PLT provider that you're thinking about going for have regular intakes? Well, we have 150 intakes a year, give or take, and so you don't have to wait another semester, especially now that everything's online. If you guys want to do face-to-face, it is twice a year, but if you want to do it online, then it's pretty much not more than 4 to 6 weeks between each of our intakes. Can you study your way? So we have part-time, we have full-time, which is pretty standard, but we also have that evening course, which is unique to the College of Law, I believe. That's where we take that week 1 and carve it up, and that one is just gaining popularity. And also online, can you do it online or can you do it face to face? Like, what are the options? And can you do it in Townsville? That's very important as well. We're the only PLT provider at this time that actually does travel to Townsville at minimum numbers permitting. Can you complete the program quickly? Yes, you can. You can do it in 15 weeks if, Jen will give you this, if your work's in on time. And if you're passing everything, if all your work experience is completed and you've put the forms in, if you've completed your CPE. So it's very much on the student to make sure that they're ticking everything off by the deadline. But if you've done all that tick and tick and tick by your completion date, then 15 weeks we can get you through.
Could I just say, Jackie, it's, of course, everyone, you're all adults, it's up to you, but my strong advice would be, if you are going to be working full time or you've got family commitments or other things going on, think twice about doing it. It really is a lot.
It is, yeah. But if you're working part-time, or some people do sort of take a break between working and get it done, that's an option as well. It's totally up to you, as we have said, it's your decision. Chat to your friends and colleagues. You'll find a lot, with 5,000 graduates here coming out of the College of Law nationally, you won't have to go far to find people who have done a PLT there. And then also, as Jen mentioned before, do they have a local campus? Do they come to Townsville? So local meaning Queensland, and we do. It's on Ann Street in Brisbane City, and it's a lovely, lovely campus directly across from City Hall. So we always know what time it is because we can always hear the dong 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 of the big clock. But we have local content. So as Jen mentioned, we teach Queensland law with Queensland practice papers and Queensland resources, but we also have local practitioners as well. So they're Queensland practitioners who have experience working and practicing law in Queensland, even though we come under the umbrella of this big national organisation. So we've kind of had that national reputation and body behind us. College of Law Queensland's coming up 20 years. So we've been doing this a long time in Queensland. And then I guess I would add to that, do when it's face-to-face, is it taught locally? So you guys don't have to leave home, we'll come to you. So minimum numbers, of course. Here's just quite a cute summary of what happened in 2021. We did over 180 programs in 7 different states and territories. Over 5,000 graduates across Australia. We delivered in 19 different locations. Ruth and Susan were super busy and saw 425 people for career consultations, and 277 lawyers mentored our students as lecturers. So that was quite fun. We hosted 11 free careers webinars. These are available to university students with 31 guest speakers, over 1,000 jobs on the jobs board. Yes, we've already talked about 2 subject credits count towards your masters, so that's awesome. And we also do the prep course for practicing in the UK and also New York and California as well. And then I mentioned the Centre for Legal Innovation before. If you've got an interest in that space, we've just celebrated 6 years. So that's pretty much it. I would love it if my phone was blowing up this afternoon to keep in contact with you guys via LinkedIn. So my Jackie is JACQUI, Owen, OWEN. So just tap that into LinkedIn and send me a connect if we're not already connected. Or if you'd like to chat one-on-one, send me a LinkedIn message or send me an email, JOWEN at collaw.edu.au. I put all of our free resources like webinars and that sort of stuff up on LinkedIn. But also the College of Law does through Facebook and LinkedIn. So, I encourage you to follow that social media as well. We do also do sort of funner stuff. The funner activities are on Insta, and I believe we tweet as well. If you'd like a copy of the handbook, you can certainly screen that, but I'm going to send you a follow-up email. I'm going to send, I'll send it to the executive team that organised this session, and it will have the recording of this on a YouTube link, but then I'll put the handbook and a few other resources that I've got for you just summarised into one nice email. So maybe we can organise that for the team. I don't think we had anything. I think that was it. So that's it in a nutshell. So thanks for hanging in there and for your questions. So happy to take any more questions if anyone has thought of something.
Any more questions? Yes, Drew?
You mentioned doing stuff in the US. Is that getting students to do the bar course to be admitted to practice in the US?
Yes, you have to do the pass the bar course for any state, but we do a course that prepares you to take that course for New York and just New York and California, just those two states.
Anything else? I think we're all good here. Thank
Excellent.
you very much for your time, and I think it was very beneficial. So,
Well, that's our pleasure. Enjoy the rest of your cheese platter and your Friday afternoon and your weekend. It's a bit rude that it's only a 2-day weekend, not a 3-day weekend. It's the first time in a month, isn't it, that we've only had 2 days off. So rude. I think you should do 3 days every week. So thank you so much. I'm planning on heading up there for the Women in Law event. So looking forward to seeing you guys later on in the year. And if you've got any questions, please get in touch directly. I'd be more than happy to answer anything.
awesome. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you. I look forward to chatting to you all soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Jen. Bye.